companies with effective coaching programs make 21% more revenue per salesperson. Crazy, right?
Yeah, that's a big difference.
It is. But most sales managers don't quite get coaching right, according to the sales experts.
Oh, interesting.
So today we're going to deep dive into one of their articles.
Okay.
It's called The Leadership Skill Every Sales Manager Needs, but Few Have. We'll figure out how to help sales teams go from good to phenomenal. What do you think is the biggest takeaway from the article?
Well, I think it really changes how we think of a sales manager.
How so?
It's not about being the best closer and getting promoted.
Right.
It's more about having a coaching mindset.
Okay, so helping the whole team excel.
Yeah, helping the team reach their full potential.
So each person closes more deals, their sales cycles are shorter, they hit their quotas more often.
Exactly. And it's not about micromanaging or always giving them the answer.
It's more about creating the right environment, right?
Yeah, an environment where salespeople feel supported, they take responsibility for what they do, and they're always learning.
Which makes sense because that would probably improve the whole team's performance and morale.
Exactly.
So let's get into the specifics. Why is coaching so important to sales success?
Well, the sales experts give a few reasons. I think one of the best is that it helps salespeople solve problems on their own.
Oh, okay. Instead of always relying on the manager.
Yeah, they build up critical thinking skills and get the confidence to handle tougher sales situations.
So it's like you're giving them the tools to succeed in the long run instead of just a quick fix.
Yeah, exactly. It's what really drives long-term growth. If they can adapt, think for themselves, and solve problems, they'll be ready for anything.
Makes sense. They won't need constant guidance.
Yeah, and that frees up leaders to work on strategy.
I bet that also makes people feel more empowered and like they really own their work.
Absolutely.
Which benefits everyone.
Totally. Now, the question is, what separates a good sales coach from a truly great one?
Yeah, good question.
The article says it's about a different way of thinking.
Okay.
Not being the top performer, but the one who helps others become top performers.
Okay, I see. And they talk about 5 key traits, right? The first one they mention is empathy. Why is that so crucial for a sales leader? It's not the first thing that comes to mind when you think about managing a sales team.
You're right. It's not always obvious, but it's super important.
Okay.
To coach well, you need to understand each person's strengths, weaknesses, and what motivates them.
So you can't just assume everyone works the same way you do or responds to the same things.
Exactly. And the article suggests having regular one-on-one check-ins with your team.
Oh, okay.
It's not just about numbers or the pipeline.
Gotcha.
It's to connect with them, really get to know them.
So making that personal connection can make people more open to coaching and more invested in their own growth.
Yeah, for sure.
The next trait is active listening. Seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there's more to it than just hearing what someone's saying.
Absolutely. It's about holding back on giving solutions right away.
Oh, interesting.
Instead, you ask good questions that lead the salesperson to their own answers.
So instead of just giving them the playbook, you're helping them think strategically and solve problems themselves.
Exactly. The sales experts give a tip here about asking open-ended questions.
Oh, like instead of saying, you should have done X, you could ask, how do you think we should handle this in the future?
Exactly, something like that. It gets them thinking about the situation and coming up with their own strategies.
Which would be more effective because it's their own solution.
Exactly. It gives them ownership and makes them accountable, which is important for motivation. It's not about telling them what to do. It's about guiding them to find what works for them.
That's a good point. Sounds like managers need a lot of patience to really master this skill.
They definitely do, but the rewards are huge. When salespeople feel heard, they trust your guidance more and are more open to feedback.
Okay, let's move on to the third trait, a growth mindset.
Right.
This seems especially important in sales, where you face a lot of rejection.
Definitely. Things don't always go as planned. Deals fall through, people say no. Even the best salespeople have bad days.
Yeah, that's true.
But a good coach sees these failures as chances to learn and grow.
Okay.
They don't just focus on the negative.
So it's about turning those setbacks into learning experiences and helping the team become more resilient.
Exactly. It's about embracing challenges and seeing mistakes as steps to getting better.
And I bet this mindset helps the manager too.
Oh, absolutely.
Keeps them positive and focused on developing the team, even when things are tough.
Exactly. It's contagious. When a manager has a growth mindset, it makes the whole team more positive and supportive.
That's powerful.
It is.
Okay, let's talk about the fourth trait, giving constructive feedback. This can be tricky, especially in sales where egos can be a factor. How do you give feedback that's helpful and motivating instead of making people feel bad?
That's a great question. The sales experts say the key is to be clear, give specific actions they can take, and focus on improvement, not blame.
So it's not just pointing out mistakes, but actually giving suggestions on how to improve.
Exactly. The article even talks about a feedback sandwich.
A feedback sandwich.
Yeah, it's a way to make feedback more positive.
Okay.
You start by saying something good they did, then you give your constructive criticism, and finally you end with encouragement.
So you're basically putting the criticism between two positive things.
Right, like a sandwich. It softens the blow and makes the salesperson more receptive to it.
I like that. It feels more like working together to improve. And the last trait they highlight is consistency, right?
Yes, that's right.
It's not enough to just coach every now and then, right?
Exactly. Coaching can't be something you squeeze in when you have a free minute because, honestly, in sales, you rarely have a free minute.
So true.
You have to make coaching a regular part of your schedule, just like any important meeting.
It's about making it a consistent part of your team's routine.
Right. Block out time on your calendar specifically for coaching, whether it's one-on-ones, deal reviews, role-playing, or training workshops.
That shows your team that their development is a priority for you.
Exactly. And that commitment creates a culture of continuous learning and improvement. And the more you coach, the more chance they have to learn and grow. The sales experts don't just tell us what makes a good coach, though.
Right.
They actually give a whole plan for starting a coaching program.
Perfect. We talked about why it matters and what makes a coach great, but let's get into how to actually do it. What's the first step?
The first step is changing your mindset.
Right. We talked about that a bit, but I'm sensing it's really important.
It is. It's the foundation of becoming a good coach. It's about moving away from thinking your success as a leader is tied to your own sales skills.
So you're not the superstar closer anymore.
Right. It's more about understanding that your success is now about how well your whole team does.
Your job is to help them achieve more than they thought they could.
Exactly.
Like you're setting them up for success.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And once you have that coaching mindset, the next step is to create a structured coaching framework.
Okay, what does that involve?
It's about having a system for coaching, not just random conversations.
Right, makes sense.
The article mentions a few key things like regular one-on-one meetings, going over deals together, role-playing, and workshops to build skills.
So you're working with people individually and also doing things as a group.
Exactly. This structure makes coaching a normal part of the team's work, not something extra.
Okay, so it's intentional, not random. What's step 3?
Step 3 is using data to make decisions about coaching.
Okay, interesting. Tell me more about that.
We have so much data now that can help us.
Yeah, that's true.
Things like your CRM, sales analytics, all that can show us where coaching is needed most.
So you're not just guessing, you're using real data to see what needs to improve.
Right. For example, if someone... Right. The sales experts have a few ideas for this. You can ask them thought-provoking questions during coaching, give them tools for self-assessment, or even have them keep a journal to track their progress.
I like that. They're getting a deeper understanding of how they sell, what they're good at, and what they can work on.
Exactly. They become more aware and proactive, which builds their confidence and helps them in the long run.
Great. So last step, measuring your impact. How do you know if all this coaching is actually working?
That's important. The sales experts say you have to measure the impact of your coaching to see what's working, what needs to change, and how to make it even better. It's about looking at key performance indicators, KPIs.
So if you're trying to improve how many deals people are closing, you track that number for each person you're coaching.
Exactly. You can also track things like average deal size, how long it takes to close a deal, if they're hitting their targets, and even how happy customers are.
It's all about feedback, right?
Yes. You see what's getting better, what's not, and you adjust your coaching.
And when you show your team you're tracking these things, it proves you're serious about helping them succeed.
Exactly. That commitment can make a huge difference for both the individual and the whole sales team.
I really like that the sales experts not only give a plan for coaching, but also highlight the benefits. It's not just about hitting sales numbers, it affects the whole company.
You're absolutely right. And that's what we'll talk about next. We'll look at the positive outcomes of coaching beyond just sales figures.
Okay, so we've covered how to coach, but now let's talk about why it's worth the effort. What are the benefits for sales leaders, hiring managers, and executives? Why should they care about coaching?
Well, the most obvious benefit is better performance.
Right, that makes sense.
When you coach your team, you're giving them the skills and knowledge they need to close more deals, shorten their sales cycles, and ultimately bring in more revenue.
It's not just about feeling good, it's about real results.
Exactly. But there are other benefits too, things that maybe aren't as easy to measure but are still really important. One of the big ones is employee engagement.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
When salespeople feel supported, they feel like they're valued, and they have a path for growth, they're naturally going to be more engaged in their work and more committed to the company's success.
Makes sense. Nobody wants to feel like just a number, right? People are happier when they feel like they're part of something bigger, that their work matters, and they have opportunities to learn and grow.
You got it. And when people are more engaged, you also see better retention rates. They're less likely to leave for another job.
That's huge because losing good people is expensive.
Absolutely. It's a win-win. The company keeps their top talent, and the employees feel valued and see a future with the company.
So it benefits both sides. And it sounds like coaching can even impact the overall company culture, right?
It definitely can. It helps build trust, collaboration, and a focus on continuous improvement.
I can see that. When coaching is part of the culture, people are more likely to help each other out, share ideas, and celebrate wins together.
Right. It becomes more about working together than competing. And there's another big plus, especially for sales leaders.
What's that?
When your team is well coached and performing at a high level, you have more time to focus on strategy.
That sounds amazing. Instead of always putting out fires, you can work on the bigger picture.
Exactly. You can think about long-term goals, look for new opportunities, and really focus on those high-impact activities that make a difference for the entire company.
So it's like coaching creates a positive chain reaction. It leads to better performance, more engagement, less turnover, a stronger culture, and it allows leaders to focus on the things that really drive growth.
That's it. Exactly. It's not just a nice bonus. It's essential for any sales leader who wants to build a high-performing team and create lasting success.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive into what the sales experts have to say about coaching, I want to leave our listeners with this. We've talked about why coaching matters, what makes a great coach, and how to actually implement a coaching program. But the most important question is, what are you going to do with this information?
That's right. What action will you take? Think about those 5 key traits we talked about. Empathy, active listening, having a growth mindset, giving constructive feedback, and being consistent. Which ones are you already good at, and which ones could you work on?
And then take that next step. Commit to making coaching a regular part of your leadership. Create a plan, use data to guide you, and build a culture where everyone is learning and growing. Because as we've seen, the benefits of coaching are really powerful.
It can make a huge difference in helping your sales team reach their full potential and achieve incredible success.